and I was born with it. So during the 80s, back in the 80s, when in elementary school, I had a lot of medicine to take. I had up to 32 medications to take around the clock. And I mean, that's something I had to take in school, and the only person who knew I had HIV was the principal and the clinic assistant or nurse who was in the clinic. Other than that, none of my teachers knew. They just knew that they was told by their principal that I have to bring water in class because the medications get me dehydrated. They just knew that if they see my head down, to just let me rest because I'm tired. So, I mean, they didn't know. My elementary school, they didn't know. When I was this close to, I told some of my friends, and they was very supportive of me, my elementary school friends who I grew up with. I got into middle school, got into high school. Middle school was okay. Nobody really knew my status except for the ones I told. And I never received any discrimination, any stigmatism. They were still there. They were still at my grandmother's house eating her food. They were just there, and they was very supportive. High school came around, whole different subject, whole different group of friends, and they could be very cruel. I went to my 11th grade prom, and there was this girl there, and she told the whole prom that I had AIDS. My prom date was like, he has to go home, and I was like, why? Here it is, like 9:30, and he was like, oh, my mom called and said for me to come home, it's an emergency. So I was like, okay, but I already heard that there's a rumor going around that I have AIDS. So I went home, and the next day I went to school, and it was around the whole school. Teachers and all was coming to me, asking me, do I have this? Do I have AIDS? They just need to know. And I'm like, no, who is telling y'all this? And I was denying it. I denied it. And I was like, no, I don't have it. And everybody kept coming to me, asking me, oh, that's that AIDS girl. People started like moving away from the people who I would see on a daily basis. They started different actions, reactions to how they usually act around me. And I was just crying. I couldn't do nothing but cry. I want to go home. I'm crying. My chorus teacher came to me. She was like, don't worry about that, whether it's true or it's not true. Don't worry. And to this day, it was still in my head where this whole school think I have HIV. And in my mind, I was like, I don't have it. So from that experience, there was this girl who came in, and she told me that her auntie had it. She gave me a hug, and she was like, stop crying. She was like, because they don't know. She said, I know, and it's not anything dirty. She told me basically, she comforted me. She was basically telling me that if I do have it, continue to do what I'm doing. Don't deny it and just live my life. So from that, it was like, wow. I was still denying it, but that was my 11th grade year. By 12th grade year, it died off, and I started getting more active in the community. I needed to do more because half of my friends who had this from the hospital we grew up with, they died, and nobody else wanted to speak up. So I told my uncle that I wanted to be the voice of AIDS, that I wanted to get out there and do something. So that's when I gathered my group of friends from school. I gathered them to my house, and I told them that I want to be a spokesperson for HIV. I basically told them I have HIV. They told me they already knew since elementary school. And I felt so great. So far as the discrimination in school, it was good times and bad times, but I survived it. I survived it. My name is Quintara. I'm 21 years old. I stay in Miami, Florida, and I was diagnosed with HIV prenatally, meaning that I was born with HIV.